What in the world am I looking at? So I just had to update the game through Game Loop, and now I need to update the game inside of the game? Couldn't sign in, there was a problem. What? Let me play Call of Duty Mobile. Okay, so apparently I didn't have to sign into that, but for some reason, like a minute ago, it was locking me out of everything until I don't even know. An old favorite has arrived. Okay, now how do I just play the game? And why is there a C just kind of stuck in the middle of my screen? Okay, we're gonna reboot the game and we'll see if that does literally anything. What does this key do? Something about locking the mouse and I don't need that. I'm just gonna delete it. Hopefully that makes it go away from my screen. New version 1 dot something something now. Yes, okay, update it. And then when I go to try to sign in, this is where it just stops working. Is COD Mobile just broken? Wait, now it's telling me there's another update on the main page. When modern gaming fails you, just go back to the classics. If you guys would still want a Call of Duty Mobile video at some point, just let me know, because like, you know, I wanted to make one, but I guess I gotta figure it out. Okay, so I was about to start up my match of Black Ops 2 Zombies, and then it just kicked me out of it. I mean, like, my Call of Duty is still open, but it pulled me out of it to open up Game Loop again, so maybe, is there like a different emulator I'm supposed to be using? I mean, like, I've seen people use BlueStacks before, but I also saw that Game Loop was like the best overall one to use for this. Maybe that's wrong, maybe that's, I don't know. There was a problem you know what? There was a problem communicating with your mom. This was originally going to be a video about me gushing about how much I love Call of Duty Mobile, about how it's my dream Call of Duty game, having the best maps and weapons and operators and all that stuff inside of one game. But then modern gaming does what it does best. It doesn't work. Anyway, that was one heck of a way to start a video. How are you guys doing? You guys having a good weekend? My weekend's been pretty decent. I don't know, I've just been playing some Call of Duty Zombies. I was revisiting Destiny 1 yesterday. That was a lot of fun. I went through and played through the campaign on a new character. I'm about to go down. Dude, I forgot about just how hard Destiny 1 strikes are. Like when you're trying to do them solo at least. Destiny 2 strikes, you can solo them easy peasy. But like Destiny 1, even when you're like 12 levels above the recommended level for like an Earth Strike, you could be at like 100 light level, even though like the thing recommends that you only need to be like 30 or 40 and you're still just gonna get like demolished. And the thing is, it's not even necessarily a thing where it's like, oh yeah, you know, like the boss or whatever at the end is so difficult. Like, no, it's not even anything like that. It's literally just that the enemies are so tanky, specifically those strike bosses. But otherwise, like I said, I played through the campaign again, had a lot of fun doing that. It was enough to make me want to re-download Destiny 2. I haven't re-downloaded Destiny 2 yet, but I'm at least considering doing so. I'm the type of guy with Destiny where I'll dive in, I'll, you know, grind out the strikes, get some better loot, you know, I'll clear out the main stories, of course, but I've never been one to buy the expansion. I've never bought a single Destiny expansion in my life. The only ones that I have are the ones that PlayStation Plus gave away for free. Otherwise, I literally don't have any of them. I also enjoyed Destiny more before it went free to play. There was just like a different vibe to it, you know what I mean? Like I have a physical copy of Destiny 1 on multiple platforms. I even have my original copy of Destiny 2 for, dude, the recoil on the MTAR is insane. I even have my original copy of Destiny 2 from launch. In fact, now that I'm thinking of it, Destiny 2 is technically 7 years old, so there's probably some younger gamers that like don't even remember a time before Destiny 2 was free to play. Let me actually grab that copy just in case. It's sad because this like case and everything was actually like pretty rad. I mean, the original game had a pretty rad case too, but yeah, I always really liked this one. Sees like Destiny 2 had a whole requires internet thing at the bottom. That's when Activision was still publishing Destiny and all that. And, like, you know, Bungie and Activision were kind of like working together or whatever. But yeah, it's just like rich cinematic campaign, multiple co-op modes, competitive multiplayer. Like the case looks sick. I don't know. I just feel like ever since Destiny went free to play, the vibes have just been really different between the way that the content is released, the way that the content in-game is handled, and I don't know. They also started doing that thing that I heavily disagree with, where they started vaulting content. In terms of like video game preservation and stuff like that, I cannot stand when these companies like sit there like vaulting content. I get it, it's like an online only game anyway, so the conversation of video game preservation is a little weak to begin with when it comes to online only games, but at the same time, like, still, that's just content that people have paid for that has simply just been taken away from them, which that kind of leads to the whole other conversation of like digital versus physical media, where like the stuff that you buy digitally you don't actually own. It's just like a license to it, and therefore the companies can just take it away from you, whether it's full game, whether it's expansion, whether it's whatever. But it's a conversation for another day. There's just, you know, there's a reason why I always buy everything physically. Anywho, let's go ahead and buy Speed Cola because I desperately need that. Max ammo and a double points. Dude, these zombies are just flooding me with drops right now. I love it. See, normally when I use my monitor in my free time, I always have the brightness all the way down to 0 just because my room is naturally kind of dim as is. You know, I'm the type of guy, I really like having nice, moody, kind of like dim lighting. Like, I don't like my room being too dark, but I don't like it being overly bright either. Like, I never open my curtains. I just like chill, mellow lighting. It only looks bright with the, you know, on the face cam because I have like this massive light beaming at me that I accidentally just looked directly into. I am now seeing purple, black, and blue every time that I blink. And I forgot to turn it up before recording, so I've been playing like barely being able to see the game the whole time because for some reason, whenever I'm doing anything else, like editing or working on stuff online, like, you know, 0 brightness, it's more than bright enough for me to see what I'm doing. But for some reason, once I get into a game, then yeah, it's like all all of a sudden it's too dark and I'm going down again. Considering how often I always say, you know, I'm not a keyboard and mouse guy, I'm better on controller, you would think that I would just like buy a dedicated controller for my PC setup, but I don't know. It's just when I'm playing on PC, even though I could use a controller, it feels wrong to use a controller at that point because I'm on PC. Can we just take a moment to show some appreciation for Double Tap 2.0? Like, is there any other perk in Zombies history that has had such a big buff as Double Tap 2 did? I mean, before, you know, Treyarch just completely forgot about it. In World of War and Black Ops 1, all it did was double your fire rate. And then here in Black Ops 2, they were like, nah, you know what? Let's just make it so that it doubles your damage. Don't get me wrong, I've always been a supporter of Double Tap. I always thought the conversation was a little silly when people would be like, don't buy Double Tap 1, it just wastes your ammo. When in reality, Double Tap 1 has actually saved me many times. You're expending the same amount of ammo that you would otherwise, you're just doing it faster, therefore you're not actually wasting ammo, you're just killing zombies faster, and the only way that ammo is being wasted is if your aim sucks. That's just how I see it anyway. Y'all remember Kindle Fires? I mean, I'm pretty sure Amazon actually still makes them. Well, I have like a 5th gen, I think it is, Kindle Fire that I found in my drawer yesterday, and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, I used to use this thing, so then I turned it on, did a factory reset on it just because I'm weird. When it's been a while since I've used the device, I like to go into the settings, see what account I'm using for it, and then just kind of do a factory reset, just in case there's any like junk files or apps or any other weird things with the device that, you know, I should probably just not be on there. You know, I just gotta clear it out, start fresh. I was surprised that like the servers were even still up for the App Store, and then I went on Amazon just out of curiosity to look up, you know, like Kindle Fires, and yeah, it seems like they're still doing that thing where like, yeah, they put out Kindle Fires where it's essentially just like a cheaper tablet, but despite that, even though the one I got was only like $50 brand new at the time, like they sold those things so cheap, and they still do, though. Even the newer ones are less than $100. Like they're still really like good performance wise for the price that you pay for them, and I guess it's just because they have like ads on like the main page of the device. Like I seen a thing where there was 2 different options. There was one for like the ad supported one where it was like a lot cheaper, and then there was one where there wasn't any ads and it was like, you know, a little bit more expensive. It wasn't too much more expensive, but you know, I'd probably rather just pay for the cheaper one just because like who cares if there's ads on the home screen? Like how long am I gonna be sitting on the home screen, you know? Like if I'm on a tablet, I'm gonna be playing games. That's always been a thing for me. When it comes to like phones, it's more like my multi-purpose device. When it comes to iPod Touches, that's for like music, maybe watching some videos, playing games as well. But when it comes to tablets, that's like my secondary YouTube watching device as well as like just like straight up game device. Like if I'm using a tablet, I'm basically like just gonna be playing games on it, you know, like I might watch some YouTube if I just happen to be on that device and don't feel like reaching for another device at the moment. I still want to buy an iPad mini 1st gen. I've told this story multiple times, but just in case anybody hasn't heard it before, essentially there is a handful of iOS devices that are stuck on iOS 9.3.5, and you may be wondering why that is relevant in any situation, and that is because that was the last iOS that still supports like all of the old apps, specifically the apps that you cannot download anymore on newer iOS devices, such as the classic Call of Duty World of War Zombies app, which I bought, or Call of Duty Strike Team, which I bought, you know, just like a bunch of those older apps. Now granted, I still do own a couple of devices that can run that stuff. For example, I have an iPad 3, but I don't like to use the iPad 3 to game just because I find the screen to be a bit too big. I know a lot of people are always like, bigger screen the better, but for me when it comes to tablets, I don't like it being any bigger than maybe 8 inches, like maybe like 8.5 at absolute most, but like no, like I try to stay in between like 7.5 to 8 inches for a tablet. I'm old, these eyes can only process so much. Also, I apologize again for going down so much. It's just, you know, get keyboard and mouse. This isn't how I play games. I've been trying to do it a bit more lately so then I can like just get better at it, so then I can stop using that excuse and actually get good at it for when I do make videos on certain keyboard and mouse games, but it's just like, you know, it's taken me a while to actually get good at this. Yeah, I got that iPad 3. I also have an iPod Touch 4th generation, which was actually like my main iPod back in the day. Well, there was the iPod Touch 3 and then there was the iPod Touch 4. Those were like the 2 that I used the most, but I do also remember using like the 1st gen one for a bit. However, there was obviously some apps that were only available on iPad. For example, like there were certain versions of apps where you could only download them on iPad, whereas on iPad you could download either iPhone or iPad apps as long as you switch the toggle at the top. So I want to get me like a 32 gig or like a 64 gig, you know, iPad mini 1st generation, just so that I can have that all-in-one encompassing device where it's like I can run all of the old iPad apps that I used to have, all of the old, you know, like iPhone or iPod or whatever apps that you want to call them. Because the iPod Touch 4 that I have is pretty good for the most part of running a lot of the stuff that I had back in the day. However, there's like a weird thing with the screen where I guess the screen is just kind of like, you know, I guess worn down over time to where it's like you have to look at it at certain angles, and the only angle where you can actually get some good viewing angles from you just aren't really comfortable to hold or realistic to hold and game on. So I've also been considering maybe replacing that and getting another iPod Touch 4, or maybe just getting like an iPod Touch 5, because that was also another one that was stuck on iOS 9. But again, I think I just want to go for the iPad mini because that's just like, you know, the all-in-one encompassing device. It can run iPad and iPhone stuff. The screen isn't too big, it also isn't too small or whatever, because like as much as I love the iPod, it does sometimes kind of become one of those things where it's like, alright, I used to do this as a kid, but you know, the screen's a bit smaller nowadays. It's not impossible to use. I just, you know, I'm a big boy now. I'm in my 20s. I got bigger hands than I did when I was however old I was whenever the iPod came out. I can't even remember. I vividly remember when the first iPhone was announced, dude. I swore, like, the minute, like, as soon as I saw, like, the whole, like, presentation or whatever of, like, Steve Jobs showing off the first iPhone, I swore we were, like, headed towards the future. I was like, the future is here. Humanity is peaked. Now here we are on, like, the iPhone 16, and we have, like, the flip phones have finally, like, we've come full circle where, like, flip phones used to be viewed as, like, being archaic, but now we're back to that where, like, smartphones can fold. I never understood how those work necessarily. It's just, I don't know, that confuses me. I'm not rich enough for all that. My phone is like a cheap TCL whatever. It has no storage. I can barely hold any games. I have just enough storage to record these videos, and even then I usually end up running out mid-recording and then having to awkwardly edit everything together because I had to go through and delete like the 1 or 2 games that I do have just to be able to record more stuff. So yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do about all that. I mean, I don't know. For the sake of money and conservation, and again, just the convenience of having everything in one device, I think I'll go the iPad mini route, and since I already have an iPod 4 that technically works, maybe I could look into replacing the screen at some point, but then again, you can pick those things up for so cheap that I might just pick up a new one of those while I'm at it. I'm a very indecisive person, if you couldn't tell. Anyway, I got absolutely no idea what this video was. Originally, it was gonna be a Call of Duty mobile video, as you could probably tell, but clearly that didn't go according to plan because everything just ended up not working. And we got on Black Ops 2 Zombies and talked about some stuff, and yeah, I don't know, that's just kind of my mood today, just completely random, and yeah, I'm just gonna kind of sit in the corner. I mean, I don't know. Game over, you survived 25 rounds. Look at that, we did so good. We totally didn't start on round 20 and go down a bunch of, I'm so embarrassed about that. I'll get better at this whole K-Bam thing one day. But anyway, as always, Matt, shout out, thank you to all the Patreons and channel members, thank you to all in the low ball tier, and shout out, thank you to all in the big ball tier, Mel, asking me daddy, man, the biggest shout out to all in the G tier, run events, some of the cheese go. Thank you guys so much, guys are literal legends. I love you. Thank you guys for watching, have an amazing day, stay beautiful, I love you all. Peace.